How does a ketogenic diet with or without exogenous ketones affect body composition and weight loss? That's a new study published by Dr. Jeff Volek and his colleagues from Ohio State, which is really interesting because the role of both ketone levels and exogenous ketones is still very much in flux in terms of overall health. What does it mean for our weight or for our metabolic health or for our body composition? It seems like the key to low-carb diets is, as the name implies, low-carb, lowering your carbohydrates. But then, do the ketones matter? And this is a really interesting discussion because ketones have properties of their own that can be beneficial, but for the most part, they are a marker of burning fat for fuel, of fat oxidation, which produces a ketone. So, does adding more ketones help? I'm Dr. Brett Scher, the medical director at DietDoctor.com, and I want to talk about this study from Dr. Volek published in Frontiers in Nutrition. He and his colleagues took subjects and they randomized them to a ketogenic diet with a placebo or ketogenic diet with ketone salts, so a beta-hydroxybutyrate exogenous ketone supplement. Interestingly, it was a well-formulated ketogenic diet, not one of these quote-unquote low-carb, saying 40% of your calories is low carb, but it was 40 grams or less of carbohydrates, aiming for 1.5 grams per kilo of protein. And they didn't specify if it was per kilo of lean body mass or total mass, but usually people use lean body mass for that. Part of that was provided by a whey shake, and then obviously from real foods as well. And the diets were designed to be 75% of their calculated caloric needs, so hypocaloric. And the food was provided. It was prepared and provided. So that's another impressive feature from the study. And it was only 6 weeks long. And what they found was both groups for the ketogenic diet with placebo and ketogenic diet with the ketone salt, they lost 7.7 kilos, so over 15 pounds in just 6 weeks, 4.6 kilos of fat mass, and about 2 kilos of fat-free mass, with about 20% decrease in their visceral adipose tissue. And these were people who were low-carb naive, so they were new to low-carb diets. So pretty impressive results in just 6 weeks. But between the two groups, the one with placebo and the one with ketone salts, there wasn't any significant difference. Now, there was a trend towards better nitrogen balance, better nitrogen preservation, I guess you could say, with the ketone salt group. But it was a trend. It wasn't statistically significant. So what they note in the paper was their hypothesis was the ketone salt would improve body composition, would improve muscle mass. And they acknowledged that the result was a null result, although they did mention the trend a number of times, that there was a trend towards benefit. So with more people in the study, with a longer study, would you eventually see body composition improve? But my question is, look, if you're interested in body composition, maybe comparing a 2 gram per kilo protein ketogenic diet to a 1.5 gram per kilo, that would be interesting to see if that impacts body composition more. Or even compare a 1 gram per kilo as some people are recommending. So more protein, I think, is going to improve body composition. We have plenty of evidence to show that. But the other is exercise. They didn't really mention what people were doing for exercise. So the other component of body composition is some form of resistance training and exercise. So even if that's not the primary method for weight loss, it can help sort of shape what type of weight loss you have. So really interesting study. It's important to emphasize null studies that didn't have significant benefits. The ketone supplement did not appear to have a significant benefit for body composition. But if it was longer, if there was some exercise involved, if there was higher protein, I would love to see how those impact it, because that's what sort of the rest of the evidence in this field suggests would have the biggest impact. Interestingly, they also had a non-randomized low-fat dietary component. I don't love that that was non-randomized. I would have liked to have seen people randomized to the low-fat placebo and the ketogenic diet with the ketone salt, so I'm not sure why they didn't randomize to the low-fat as well. And there were some differences there, like the ketone diet showed better waist circumference and waist to height ratio. The low-fat diet, interestingly, had better resting energy expenditure, so a little bit surprising there. But the other thing is the ketone salts actually added to the ketone level over the first few weeks, but then they sort of normalized with the ketogenic diet and didn't provide extra ketone levels. So one of the other main questions is, what is the role of ketone levels in health and weight loss? And this is just one more example that for general health, for general weight loss, even for metabolic improvements, we don't have much evidence to say higher ketone levels are better. Now, when it comes to traumatic brain injury or Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, sort of the neurological component of things, certainly for seizures, then it appears higher ketone levels are better, that ketones do have something in and of themselves that is beneficial from that standpoint. But for overall health and weight loss, we don't yet have that data. So that's why we continue to recommend a diet doctor. If you're following a ketogenic diet, the key is, what are your carbohydrates? What are your overall calories? And what is the chance that you're going to sustain this long term in a healthy, well-formulated ketogenic diet with plenty of protein? That's the focus, not what are your ketone levels? Are you reaching a certain goal? Because that doesn't appear to have the biggest impact. All right, you'll find more at dietdoctor.com. If you thought this was helpful, please click the thumbs up for the like and subscribe so you'll get all our updates here on Diet Doctor News on YouTube. Thanks a lot, everybody.